Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Narayana Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Dhiraye Rashtraprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Shloka Virbhavati Naishtiki. Hare Krishna. So we're reading today from Canto 3, Chapter 13, starting from verse 31 till 33. So I'll be reading the words, synonymous translation and purport for the 31, and for the 32 and 33, we'll just read the translation. It doesn't have purport. So, verse 31. Swadam Shriyodrityamahim Nimagnam Sauttita Samruruche Rasayaha Tatrapi Daityam Gadaya Patantam Sunabasanditati Brahmanyo. Synonyms: Swadamstraya, by his own tusks; Udritya, raising; Mahim, the earth; Nimagnam, submerged; Saha, he; Uttitaha, getting up; Sam Ruruche, appeared very splendid; Rasayaha, from the water; Tatra, there; Api, also; Daityam, unto the demon; Gadaya, with the club; Apat Antam, rushing towards him; Sunabha, the wheel of Krishna; Sandipta, glowing; Tivra, fierce; Manyahu, anger. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhishana Aravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: Lord Boar very easily took the earth on his tusks and got it out of the water. Thus he appeared very splendid. Then, his anger glowing like the Sudarshana wheel, he immediately killed the demon Hiranyaksha, although he tried to fight the Lord. Purport: According to Srila Jiva Goswami, the Vedic literatures describe the incarnation of Lord Varaha, Boar, in two different devastations, namely the Chakshusha devastation and the Swayambhuva devastation. This particular appearance of the Boar incarnation actually took place in the Swayambhuva devastation, when all planets other than the higher ones, Jana, Mahar, and Satya, merged in the water of devastation. This particular incarnation of the Boar was seen by the inhabitants of the planets mentioned above. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti suggests that the sage Maitreya amalgamated both the Boar incarnations in different devastations and summarized them in his description to Vidura. Verse 32, translation: Thereupon, Lord Boar killed the demon within the water, just as a lion kills an elephant. The cheeks and the tongue of the Lord became smeared with the blood of the demon, just as an elephant becomes reddish from digging in the purple earth. Verse 33, Then the Lord, playing like an elephant, suspended the earth on the edge of his curved white tusks. He assumed a bluish complexion like that of a tamala tree, and thus the sages headed by Brahma could understand him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offer respectful obeisances unto the Lord. We'll once again read verse 31 translation. Lord Boar very easily took on the earth on his tusks and got it out of the water. Thus he appeared very splendid. Then, his anger glowing like the Sudarshana wheel, he immediately killed the demon Hiranyaksha, although he tried to fight with the Lord. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Namahom Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you everyone for joining. So I actually have some I think confessions and also for some before we get into the topic that I wanted to discuss in relation to this verse, just wanted to share some personal, I think, appreciation, and then I think also some confessions. So when Lakshmikant Prabhu sent the schedule in the beginning of this month, including my name for the Bhagavatam class, my first thought was actually to kind of say no for the class. But then I was actually debating whether to take this class. And he also texted me a couple of days back. Even then, I was kind of whether to say yes or no. But then I started thinking, what is the even reason that I kind of got into this service or continue giving this class even when I'm in Aurora? The first thought that came to my mind was all of us connect to the community where we are in kind of in various different ways. Some of us connect to the community through the details, some of us through various ways. I think my connection from the initial point that I moved to ISKCON Nepal community was through this Bhagavatam class. This as a service kind of got me closer to many of the devotees, and then kind of expanded the friendships that I'm kind of nurturing. So just because I'm not physically present in the physical proximity of the community, I just did wanted to lose that chance of kind of establishing that connection much further. So that was the reason that I said yes. But because of everything that's happening here, I'm not sure fully if I'll be able to actually do justice to this service. So, so the confession that I wanted to kind of make was on the onset itself. I just wanted to seek forgiveness from all the devotees who have dedicated their time quite early in the morning, in case if I'm not up to the standard that all the devotees have so eloquently been establishing with the narrations of Varahadev. I seek forgiveness for that. So that moving aside, I actually wanted to kind of discuss three things, couple of them in connection to what I was able to connect to this verse, and then the other is what Srila Prabhupada speaks in the purport of how is it that Maitreya, and what is the reasoning that Srila Jiva Goswami and Srila Srimad Chakravarti actually gives for concluding that my sage Maitreya is actually amalgamating two different incarnations of Varahadev. But before we get into that topic that Srila Prabhupada is discussing in the verse, as I think I've heard this multiple times, that depending on the emotional state where we are, Srimad Bhagavatam actually speaks to us addressing that specific point. And when as I was kind of trying to prepare for this class, the first thought that came to my mind was how Varahadev, I mean, kind of slightly expanding on the past time, because I'm sure all the devotees have so in detail explained about the pastime itself and then the lessons of it. I just wanted to kind of relate to how I was seeing this pastime. Bhudevi in our case is her position is in as part of this cosmic manifestation. She has a specific position where she renders her service, and either due to, we have two reasons. One is, as Srila Prabhupada explains in this verse, it could be because of the devastation that is happening during the Swayambhu Manvantara or the Chakshusha Manvantara, or it could be because of the doing of beyond her control, whereas in this case Hiranyaksha kind of plucking her from her position and then taking into the depths of water. So many times I've faced such situation in recent times where things which are beyond our control, we kind of things happen, and then we feel whatever the safe position where we kind of render our service, that we are somehow taken from that position and then are kept in a place where we feel quite unsafe. We're not sure what is happening around us, and then everything that we see around is chaotic confusion. So that's the position that Mother Earth was in, where she was happily serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead from her place, and beyond, she didn't do anything I don't think anybody can kind of term this as a fall down, because everything that happened, either it could be the devastation, or Hiranyaksha kind of taking her away from that position of service is completely beyond her control, which in our cases, many a times it happens where we are happily serving either Shri Radha Shyam Sundar or any of the of our deities or our spiritual masters, and we suddenly feel lost. We are kind of completely taken away from that space, and everything that we see around is kind of confusion and chaotic. And in that case, like it happened with Mother Earth, two things kind of come to our safe grace. One is her willingness to kind of move away from that place and be in a safe space, which Mother Earth was kind of so intensely praying. And the other, also one of the most important thing, other than our willingness and our prayers, which we see here, is a group of devotees, which happens in the beginning of this verse. Once Swayambhuva Manu appeared, and then Brahma kind of explains to him that this is what you have to do and all of that. One of the first things that Swayambhuva Manu, at least in this chapter, asks is, yes, this is my service I want to do, but from that position, what he says is that is also praying to Lord Brahma that here is Mother Earth, who is supposed to be the shelter for all the living entities, but she is not in a safe space which can, and along with Swayambhuva Manu, all the devotees who are around Swayambhuva Manu, including Lord Brahma, kind of get into this intense mood of feeling that pain for Mother Earth, and from that place of where they were feeling that sympathy and empathy for Mother Earth, they realize that they cannot do anything apart from praying to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And once both of these things kind of get together, of where Mother Earth is also kind of in that way, like we do not have any exact references in this verse itself, where it, like Sage Maitreya is not quoting any specific words or not saying anything that Mother Earth is praying, but we kind of can expand with the overall understanding that Srimad Bhagavatam gives, is that Mother Earth in the other pastime that we know, where Mother Earth taking the form of cow, goes to Lord Brahma for seeking shelter and explaining her situation, kind of expanding on that lines. I'm sure like Mother Earth was feeling that separation from her service, and then kind of she's lost, and then everything, she's not sure where she is, being maybe in control of Hiranyaksha or in this midst of devastation about us, combining with her feeling that I want to get back to my place where I kind of can safely do the service that I'm supposed to do, combining that with the prayers and then the empowerment of all these devotees that are doing from an entirely different place. When once these two things kind of got together, what happens is Varahadev appears, and Varahadev even kind of appears from an entirely unexpected place, from the nostrils of Lord Brahma. So sometimes like this kind of is I feel so personal with this aspect of this pastime, is because I was kind of in the same for the last 45 days that I kind of am, I think, as a living example of what I'm speaking. Multiple things happened where they were kind of support and shelter that we were getting, like it happened in the case of Mother Earth, where they were kind of suddenly appearing from a place where we do not expect in any way. In similar lines, we have seen support and help and like shelter that we have received from places which we never expected, that there are certain ways that this is where we kind of can get. And I'm sure that happened not just because we deserve in any way that kind of help or support. It's just because of the prayers and then the shelter that all the devotees around, those who knew us, those who didn't know us, kind of were, because they were praying for us. And in that way, when I was seeing this whole pastime of Mother Earth, Varahadev and Hiranyaksha, and the whole devastation, that's what I was kind of so connected, that as long as we are in that mood of continuing our service in irrespective of wherever we are, and as long as there are devotees who are praying for us and are requesting the Lord for gracing us, then for sure we'll always be in a safe, we'll irrespective of the situation where we are, we will come back to a safe place, like it happened in the case of Mother Earth, where she kind of she was brought back into her actual position of which actually comes back in the next few verses, where once everything happened, Hiranyaksha has died and everything. Varahadev actually kind of takes her back and then safely puts her in her actual orbit, and then everything kind of, as we have seen in the movies, everything kind of goes well as it ends. So this is one aspect that I wanted to kind of, which connected to me. And then one other aspect which was kind of interesting, as I was as part of my preparation, I was not just reading these three verses, but I was trying to see what happens before and what happens after. And one interesting thing that, as we have just discussed, is Swayambhuva Manu appeared, and then there is a discussion that's happening between Swayambhuva Manu and Lord Brahma. And then suddenly Lord Brahma gets to know from Swayambhuva Manu that there is this problem that's happening, and all of them are in this intense prayer mode, seeking shelter from the Supreme Lord. And suddenly there is this unique personality that comes out of Lord Brahma's nostril. And it's interesting how Srimad Bhagavatam, actually, I'll try to see if I have the words, explains is there was a lot of confusion, and then also in some ways, I'll just see. Yeah, so if you see, I'm sure all of you have gone through this verse. In the text 20, how Maitreya Muni explains it is, struck with wonder at observing the wonderful boar-like form in the sky, Brahma, with great Brahmanas like Marichi, as well as Kumaras and Manu, began to argue in various ways, because they have never seen this form of the Lord. Yes, he was beautiful, but he was this small, tiny form. As it explains in the previous verse, he was actually in the upper portion of the thumb. So this was the initial size of the form of Varahadev when he came out of the nostril. But eventually he started growing, like it also happened with Matsya. He started growing, and then he became this huge mountain-like size. And then they didn't have any clue. And it's not that Varahadev was giving any specific reason, or not reason, any specific clue of who is he. There is a problem, and then he just appeared, and then he just got into the task of solving the problem. And so how I was seeing that was, in this case, Varahadev was prioritizing. He kind of understood what was the problem here, and then he was prioritizing making sure that first task, that rather than kind of getting into the discussion with Lord Brahma, here I am, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, I came in this form. So now because I appeared, all of you just do everything that you have to do. And then once I am pleased, once I'm kind of taken care, everything is done with respect to doing worship and all of that, then I'm going to kind of get into the task of saving Mother Earth. That's not what Varahadev did. Once he appeared, once he kind of expanded his form into this extraordinary size, there was actually from starting from from next 4 or 5 verses, Sage Maitreya explains the kind of dilemma and then the confusion. Brahma, Manu, Marichi, Kumaras, everybody were going on. He explains this. First of all, this boar was seen no bigger than the tip of thumb, and within a moment he was large as stone as stump. Is he the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu? And then there is a question mark. They didn't have any clarity on who is he. But in prioritizing, so there are 2 interesting things that I observed. One was he prioritized making sure that the person who is actually in pain and in trouble, they are taken care of. But in doing so, it's not that he didn't specifically say that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But in not saying that, but he was still acknowledging all the prayers and everything that everybody were kind of doing that. So in the verse 25, it says, when the great sages and thinkers who are residents of Janaloka heard the tumultuous voice of Lord Boar, which was the all auspicious sound of all merciful Lord, they chanted the auspicious chants from the 3 Vedas. And as they were chanting, there's this huge sound that were coming. Either they realized that this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and from that position, they were chanting these auspicious chants from the 3 Vedas, or they didn't kind of had any confusion, and for their own protection, along with the protection of mother, they were chanting these three words. And in doing so, Varadev was kind of acknowledging, there are these descriptions that come kind of in the next verses, where Varadev, every time there was a prayer that was being recited by any of the devotees who were from these three planets, it was the acknowledgement that Varadev was doing was by making these huge sounds. So because that's what he was, that's how he was acknowledging. So he was prioritizing, but still he was not losing the personal aspect that Srila Prabhupada focuses on in every class that he gives. Srila Prabhupada always says that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he is a person. And irrespective of whatever that the Lord was trying to do in case of making sure that Mother Earth is taken care of, even when he was trying to do that, he was not losing the personal aspect of his in making sure that he's acknowledging the prayers of everyone around him. And how does he even kind of, once everything is taken care, once he has taken care of Mother Earth, Bhudevi, once she's safely once she's safe in her tusk, it's interesting how Varahadev actually answers the question of that we have just discussed in verse 20, or no, not in verse 22, where everybody is questioning, is it the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu? It's interesting how Varadev answers that question. He's not saying anything. He doesn't speak to them, but he kind of answers them because he knows in his mind and his heart that there is this question that everybody is having around me, like, who am I? And the way he answers it is because, as we just read in the verse 33, then the Lord, playing like an elephant, suspended the earth on the edge of his curved white task. So the first task that he wanted to do was make sure that the Mother Earth is safe. And for making sure that the Mother Earth is safe, what he needed to do was kill Hiranyaksha. So that task was done. So the second thing, Mother Earth is safely situated in his curved white tusk. And once that's done, the third thing that came is making sure that everybody who are around know he's kind of going to introduce himself. And how he does is he assumed a bluish complexion like that of a tamala tree. And thus the sages headed by Brahma could understand him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead and offer respectful obeisances unto the Lord. So till this point, till actually Lord revealing himself by showing this eternal form of bluish complexion, like that of a tamara tree, there was confusion. And once he made sure, once his number one priority task was done of killing Hiranyaksha and making sure Mother Earth was safe, that's when he revealed himself by making, he did not use any words or anything, but just that the beautiful descriptions that of bluish complexion like of a tamara tree. So I was just researching on this bluish complexion of like that of a tamara tree. Every time there is a reference, many of the devotees, many a times in the Srimad Bhagavatam, where they have to kind of describe the son of Nanda or son of Yashoda, this is how they refer as the son of Nanda, who has a bluish complexion like that of a tamara tree, or of son of Yashoda, who is of bluish complexion like that of a tamara tree. So by kind of revealing of this eternal form of Shama Sundar, of having this bluish complexion like that of a tamara tree, has answered all the questions of everyone around him. So these were two things that felt so personal to me, is how, irrespective of anything that losing our position or everything that is happening, so our hope is just the prayers of ourselves, our own prayers to the Lord. And the prayers, we'll only be able to do the prayers when we have that willingness to go back to the space of service where we want to kind of render devotional service, as Srila Prabhupada says, from a joyful mode, and combine that with the prayers of the devotees around, and then guaranteed that Varahadev will rescue us and establish us in our position of service. And then the second one is how Varahadev beautifully demonstrates of we need to prioritize when there is a situation of chaos or confusion or emergency of anything of that sort. Yes, it is important to prioritize, but when we kind of when we do prioritize of anything, we do need to prioritize those things without losing the personal aspect ensuring, acknowledging the prayers and then the well-wishing and everything that is happening around without losing that personal aspect, and then the personal acknowledgement of that aspect, personal acknowledgement aspect, without losing that part. It's important to prioritize without losing that aspect. And once everything is done, it's not that Varadev just shut the shop and then just went away. He knew that there was questions and then confusion and doubts for everyone around on who is he. And once the number priority of his task was done, that's when he revealed himself so beautifully as in the form that we all love as Shyamasundar. So I think so these were the two important points that I kind of wanted to go in depth. And now, because we have 5 minutes, I'll just quickly kind of slightly talk on the thing that Srila Prabhupada is talking here of how Shri Jiva Goswami and Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur, how do they even kind of summarize? In this verse itself, if you have seen in the beginning, Swayambhuva Manu has appeared, and then there is a discussion that's happening as we just discussed right now, kind of went into the verses also slightly in depth. Once that everything was happening, and suddenly, till verse 31 actually, there is no reference of how Mother Earth kind of got submerged into the water. There's no references of how, if it was Hiranyaksha or anything. And suddenly in the verse 31, Maitreya Muni then says that he immediately killed the demon Hiranyaksha. And how Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur kind of expands in this case as how is it that he's deriving that Maitreya Muni is kind of amalgamating or combining these two different incarnations. As we have all heard that there are these, anytime that we hear a pastime of certain way, and then there is of the similar incarnation of a pastime in different way, we all understand from Srila Prabhupada that it's a difference of Manus. In certain Manu, the Supreme Lord does the pastime in a certain way, and being independent, he chooses to do the same incarnation in an entirely different way. So what Jiva Goswami and Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur explains that in the case of when it happened in the Swayambhuva Manu, it was not that Mother Earth was not, for lack of better word, did not hijack Mother Earth from that place. The reasoning that Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur gives is because Hiranyakashipu did not exist during the Swayambhuva Manu time. Hiranyakashipu or Hiranyaksha existed during the Chakshusha Manu time, because the lineage of how it happens is the Prachetas, whose son was Daksha, and Daksha's daughter was Diti. And as we know, both Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu were Daityas, which basically translates as the sons of Diti. And in this case, the son of Prachetas, the Prachetas for whom Daksha was born actually happened during the Chakshusha Manu. That's how Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur explains. So that's how Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur says that. So because if the reference of Hiranyaksha is coming, then it possibly could not have happened during the Swayambhuva Manu time. It possibly could have happened during the Chakshusha Manu time. And that's how we derive that during the Swayambhuva Manu time, Mother Earth being in the water is because of a curse that Swayambhuva Manu actually got from a sage, because of which there was this devastation water that came, and because of that, all the planetary systems, apart from the three planetary systems, which is Mahar, Jana, and Satya, apart from these three, Satya, Jana, and Mahar, apart from these three planets, every other planet was submerged with the waters because of a curse that Swayambhuva Manu actually got from a sage. And because of that, Mother Earth was in the waters. And when this happened, so Varadev, because all the devotees were praying from Satyaloka, Varadev actually appeared in Satyaloka from the nostrils of Lord Brahma as an acknowledgement to the prayer that they were doing, and then went ahead and rescued Mother Earth. So in this case, it was not because of Hiranyaksha. But when it happened during the Chakshusha Manu, when Hiranyaksha actually hijacked Mother Earth from her position and then took away and then kept her in the Garbhadaka ocean, in that, during the Chakshusha Manu time, the Lord Varadev did not appear from the nostrils of Lord Brahma, but he actually appeared from the waters of Garbhadaka ocean. And that's how Vishnu Chakravarti Thakur and through the explanation of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Prabhupada says that that's how it is understood that Maitreya kind of amalgamated both the both incarnations from different devastations and summarized them in his descriptions to Vidura. And so it kind of also establishes why is it important to have purpose of Srila Prabhupada and also the teachings of various previous acharyas to kind of understand. Because sometimes as part of our preaching or sometimes there could be some scholars who could come up with these questions. Hey, this is not how it happened. This is not how Matsya Purana or Varaha Purana explains. And because we are so blessed to have Srila Prabhupada's purpose, where you have kind of read all the previous Acharya's purpose and have kind of given it in a summarized way, and also because of the blessings and the grace of Bhanu Maharaj and various other devotees who have so painstakingly have translated all the translations and the purports of Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Jiva Goswami into the language that we can understand. We kind of are in blessed to in that understanding to kind of understanding these nitty-gritties. Some of us might not even kind of. I'm sure, like for me, without Srila Prabhupada explaining, I could not ever understood that there are these different incarnations and different manvantaras and all of that. But it just, I think, helps us for those of us who have the service of trying to preach in an outside world where we might sometimes be asked these questions. And Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Jiva Goswami and Sherpa himself are kind of helping us in that step by step. So here I'll end the class, and I hope I did some justice to the service. If there were any corrections or suggestions or questions, I'm open. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Thank you for taking up the service. I mean, even from India. So thank you for doing that. So here, I mean, yeah, thank you. I mean, the way you explained how your Lord Varaha accomplished multiple things, right? I mean, in a very prioritized way. So I mean, accepting the praises of the devotees and I mean the prayers, and also killing Hiranyaksha and Nama, of course, and two different pastimes and lifting the earth during that time.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you. I was just thinking, remembering how he was not ignoring it. I mean, Hanuman was just came to my mind. So when he was going to Lanka and did not even. I mean,
Correct.
he was also accepting all the services that he was getting it that, right?
Correct.
So on the way, I mean,
Correct.
he might not be taking complete rest there. So it just came to my
Yeah.
mind. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. We didn't occur to me. That's quite a
So I was just
parallel.
yeah. So you did not even. Yeah. So I was just thinking
So
about.
maybe,
Go ahead.
yeah, no. So Hanuman is even in that regards a perfect servant to a perfect master.
Hmm. He was not ignoring it, so the appreciations that were coming to him, he was accepting. Also, not completely getting into that. Also, he's not ignoring it, so he's accepting them. So, I was just a question came, Prabhu, to me. Yeah, it did this. I mean, I think Rumpad Maharaj was also saying this happens every day of Brahma. So how is that Brahma doesn't know? I mean, I don't know if he appears in same way every time. So it is a college question maybe. I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
So I got surprised. So I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, there could be various answers. I don't have whatever I could answer. I think it will be speculation, but
Yes.
at least from how Sage Maitreya explains it is that he didn't have a clue of who is he. That's interesting. Yeah, because if it's happening every day, he should have an idea. I think it's the same way of how he waking up every day and then still not having a clue of how he should do the creation. So I think yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna, Hare Prabhu. A
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
lot of detail and insight from me. Definitely, that tells me how much behind I am in all this knowledge. So thank you, Prabhu, for sharing all the details. Greatly appreciate it, Prabhu.
Thank you. If no other questions, I think we can end.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripasinubhyascha
Anubhav.
Vidhanam pure Vaishnava. Hare Krishna.